Randy McKee here. We have a real treat for you here today. We have Jim Adelman here from Rapid City, who's a reverse mortgage specialist. So thanks for being on today with us, Jim.
My pleasure, Randy. Thanks for the opportunity.
We're here today to talk about this important topic, and it should be important to all of us, the reverse mortgage. There's so much information and I believe probably a lot of misinformation. So Jim is going to help us clear that up today. So Jim, how'd you get involved as a reverse mortgage specialist?
Boy, it's been a while ago. Actually, it was because of a need. I retired from the financial services business about 2002, and I thought I could golf my life away. We live on the golf course, but you know, after working with people all my life, I really missed that interaction and the ability or the opportunity to help people. And I had some friends that had asked about it, and I said, you know, I've heard about it, don't know much about it, but I took the time to research it, got on the HUD website and so forth. And you know, Randy, the more I became educated, the more excited I became, and I finally told HUD, I said, hey, I'll give this a year or two, and it's been 8 years ago, so
wow.
I enjoyed it tremendously.
8 years. So in all of this, do you work then with a specific company?
You know, I started out, I was blessed to be introduced to a company called Financial Freedom Senior Funding Corporation, who was at that time the only game in town, so to speak. But since then, I've expanded because there are different areas that different companies focus on, but I've always been conscious of making sure that they're HUD programs, so they're the FHA insured programs, so I only deal with the ones that are legal and above board in South Dakota.
Okay. Well, when it comes to reverse mortgages, maybe you can help us understand a little bit about what a reverse mortgage actually is.
Certainly. It's a very complex program, but I'll make it very simple. It's a program that was created by HUD for the sole purpose of giving seniors the opportunity to use the equity that they have built in their home. It's a non-recourse loan, which means that the only thing they look at is the home for value and the home for repayment. And everyone has to be, on the title, has to be 62 or older. So that's the only requirement, that you own your home, that you have a substantial equity in it, and that everyone's 62.
Okay. So the reverse mortgage can benefit people in quite a few different ways then.
Absolutely. You know, ARP is a big advocate of the program, and they did a survey last year as to how seniors were using the money from a reverse mortgage, and quite a variety. The biggest one, which is a little surprise to me, 65% use part or all for hospital or health care costs.
Wow.
So we're seeing that there's a real need for extra money in there. All the way down from paying off their present mortgages, 50% of them use part or all for that, to repairing their house, keeping it up, good repair, down to the one my wife likes the best, travel, do something special.
Yeah.
So there's a great variety of reasons and needs for a reverse mortgage.
Well, that equity's in there. Why not unlock it?
You know, you hit the nail on the head there, Randy. You've got what we call a fixed equity with your home, which means that there's a lot of money there, but you can't use it, you can't spend it for your needs or enjoyment. This program literally turns it into a liquid asset, which means that you can use it for your benefit now, rather than, like I always say, leave somebody else fight over it later.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So how much money, if someone does a reverse mortgage, how much money can they receive when they do one?
Good question, Randy. That's determined by the age of the homeowners and the value of the home. So the house is appraised by an FHA approved appraiser, because it's an FHA insured program, and then their age. The older they are, the greater their percentage. So put that into real terms, the youngest age 62, you're looking at about 45% of the appraised value that they can access.
Okay.
The oldest gentleman I helped was 94 years old, and he was right at the 90 percentile. So
oh yeah, so it's based a lot on life expectancy then.
Exactly,
obviously.
Yep, sure, because the older you are, the shorter term you're going to have it, and sooner they'll get their money back.
So do people typically take their reverse mortgage money out then in monthly installments, or can they do lump sum, or how can they do that?
Good question, Randy. The money is available one of three ways, either as a monthly income, a lump sum, or as a line of credit. And I've helped well over 300 with this wonderful program, and I can tell you that the most popular by far is the line of credit. And I like it because it gives them total control over how they're going to access the money. If they need it, they request it, and within 5 days it's in their checking account, so it's very accessible. And if they don't need it, HUD has got a wonderful program on the line of credit that gives them growth on there, tax-free growth, which is kind of amazing.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So to get a reverse mortgage, what are some of the costs involved?
Okay, I always say this is not a federal grant. It is a government-regulated program that allows seniors to access the money. So it's a program that flies on its own. In other words, everybody pays their own costs. They're similar to a regular mortgage, title insurance, appraisal, recording fees, and so forth, but there's one extra cost, and that is the FHA mortgage insurance. That's 2% of the appraised value of the home, and quite frankly, that's what makes it work. We wouldn't even have the program. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that, to make it the safest loan in America today. So your total expenses, to answer your question specifically, Randy, total cost will run about 5% of the appraised value of the home.
Okay. So when a person gets a reverse mortgage, then do they still own their home? Do they retain ownership?
They do, and that's the biggest misconception that's out there with the program. People think for some mysterious reason they give up ownership of the home, but they don't. It's their home, they're on the title. They're the ones that actually determine how long the loan goes. That has to be their primary resident, and as long as they meet that criteria, the loan goes forever. Once a year they get a residency occupation confirmation letter that they sign confirming that's their residence, and it goes for another year, and it keeps going and going and going. So I would mention back again on that cost thing, also people have the misconception that it's a high cost loan. Actually it isn't, if they understand how they're done. HUD requires that the closing costs are all paid up front, so it's not amortized over a number of years. They don't come up with those closing costs. They're part of the loan costs, the proceeds. But that's what does make it work, is those closing costs are all paid up front, and then you get the benefit of the lower interest rate throughout the rest of the loan, which right now is a little over 3% is all.
Boy, that's amazing. So say a person wants to start working on getting a reverse mortgage. Is it pretty complicated to get one?
Well, it is for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. It's kind of interesting, Randy. When I started, like I say, we were the only game in town, and along the line there came several of them that started. Typically, banks and mortgage brokers don't get involved because HUD has got such stringent requirements in what they can charge and how to do it that it doesn't really fit their model.